Hey everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner and I have a very special guest in the corner. Would you like to unveil your secret identity to the masses?
Oh, I suppose I could. Greetings, everyone. My name is Sean Chiplock. I have voiced a couple different characters in recent games and anime you may be aware for, the two most recent being Kiyotaka Ishimaru in Danganronpa, which I hear is making quite the splash in social media, and Kasim and Magi, which I believe just wrapped up most of its first season. So if you're into that kind of show, you should pick it up.
Now, when you did your introduction, all I could think of is you had tea and a top hat and a monocle.
Do you like the Professor Layton? You must solve this puzzle first to figure out my last name.
A true gentleman doesn't reveal his identity.
Mm,
Something along those lines.
right.
Well, for the listeners out there, obviously we know that, you're in a lot of popular games that for right now the
Mhm.
anime and video game community is going nuts over, but a lot of us actually don't know your origin. I was doing my stalking online trying to, see if I could figure out where you started, but what initially
Right.
got you into acting?
You know, it's a funny story about that, a funny origin story. It goes back to my junior year of high school when, of course, you had all the colleges, telling you, decide on your major, make sure you're ready for what you want to do when you go into college. And, like any good, aspiring, academically gifted student, I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't like history. In fact, I had been sent to the office a couple times for falling asleep during class. Um, Science was fun, but not that fun. I was really good at English, but I couldn't get myself to sit in front of a Word document for, 8 hours straight. And I loved math. Math and I were best friends until pre-calculus, and that was a very painful 2 years. So anyway, that's getting to the point. So I'm sitting one evening, I believe it was December 29th at approximately 3:23 in the morning. The time and the date change every single time I tell this story. It's a challenge to for fans to figure out how much different it is the next time. But I know it was that time because Full Metal Alchemist had been replaying for the night on Toonami, and I was in the throes of my Neopets addiction, so I was spending a lot of time on the website. And at one point during the evening, the Adult Swim advertisement for the website comes on for like the 30th time that evening. And I decided, you know what? I'm bored enough that I'm just going to go to this website. It was literally the first time I ever went to that website. So I'm just browsing around, checking out their game section, and I come across a teaser video that was for, at the time, it was like a section of an episode of Trinity Blood that was going to be airing soon. And it was like kind of like one of those old MTV music videos where during the song, like little info boxes would pop up with snippets of info
Oh,
or
pop
behind the scenes stuff.
video.
Yeah, there you go. So one of those boxes takes me to a sub video of Troy Baker as Abel Nightroad recording in the studio. And he's standing in the booth and it's showing the screen that he's recording, and the director's off to the side giving him instructions. And of course, he doesn't nail his lines the first or even the third time. The director's giving him feedback and he's changing it up now and again. So here I am sitting there watching this and going, oh my God, this guy is talking, and at the same time he's talking, this character on the screen is talking. I don't know what the heck this is, but I want in. So it was the concept that some person could be like screaming and like playing as a demon dude and just totally playing as an anime character and getting paid for this. So as of January 1st of I believe it was 2007, I made an audio recordings folder. And at the time, my recording program of choice was Windows Sound Recorder. Oh, me of little intelligence. And I started recording. I just started doing, random stuff for projects on like Newgrounds and the Voice Acting Club, the Voice Acting Alliance, and that's where my love for the craft started. And I'd say the next major step after that, which is a whole different story I won't get into unless the question begets it. The next major step for that was when I did Anime Expo's AX Idol competition in 2009. And then I graduated in 2012. I moved out to California in June of that same year, and I've been making my way through the industry ever since.
Well, now I always find it's very interesting to see people's journey because you have a lot of, younger kids nowadays who get on, Voice Acting Alliance or other portals
Mhm.
like that, and they just throw caution to the wind and they have no like acting training or they have no idea what they're doing,
Mhm.
and a lot of them don't succeed, which, they want to be the next anime voice actor, and that's all they want to do.
Right.
So, is there any advice you would give to those people because you were in their shoes at one point?
I think two of the biggest problems, and one of them I only recently got over, so it's something that I could relate to until like 2 years ago. The first major problem is I see that a lot of amateur voice actors jump into this and go, yeah, I'm gonna become good, I'm gonna do really well, and they audition for like 20 projects and they don't get cast in any of them, and then they go, this sucks, I don't want anything to do with this anymore, I'm a failure, forget about this is boring, and they quit. And rejection is literally the name of this industry. Like, I can't tell you how many times I have recorded something for a project and gone, man, that was really solid. Like, that's an audition I think I could get cast for. And I don't get cast. It doesn't even happen. I'm not even like considered for a side role. And that's going to happen a lot. Like a lot, a lot. And there could be times where you send possibly the best audition, the best acting out of anybody else out there, and they go with somebody else anyway because someone else's voice just fit that character that much better, even if the acting was no better than yours. So you have to be able to deal with rejection. You have to be able to deal with the fact that out of every 10 projects you audition for, maybe one of them will even consider you, and out of that 0.25 of them will actually cast you. So it's tough. And the second major one is a lot of I don't want to apply this to everybody, but I do see that there's a trend where people seem to only be interested if they're playing a major character. There seems to be a stigma that if you're playing a lesser or a side character that no one's going to care, you're not that important. And my two most recent roles are perfect examples of why that's not true. Kasim is basically the anti-hero, and he was one of my most challenging roles in my entire career, but he also ended up being the most fun for that reason. And Kiyotaka Ishimaru, I'm not going to give spoilers away, but Kiyotaka Ishimaru doesn't really end up being one of the major players in the game, but from what I've seen, he's one of the fan favorites in terms of the dub voices and just his personality and his mannerisms. So just because you're not the main character doesn't mean, you're not going to be popular or it's not going to be well received or you're not going to have fun. In fact, I would even suggest that oftentimes it's the side characters that make the game memorable, where the main character is there to help you progress because you got to play as somebody. You know what I mean? So that's basically what I would say. Those are my two main pieces of advice: is don't be afraid of rejection and focus more on playing roles that fit your style and your voice rather than roles that you just really want to play. Because if you always try to play the roles that you're not suited for, it's going to be really rough and you're going to hate it. You're going to hate doing it because it's going to be stressful for you.
That actually really surprises me how many people don't expect rejection, and then those who are I don't want to say they bug the client, but
Hmm.
they're like, "Can you give me critiques? Can you do this? Can you do that?" That's always really super surprising
Yeah.
for me. I actually don't understand. But I've been in radio for 4 years, and when we do commercials and stuff like that, and somebody on staff writes the script, and if they don't want you in that commercial, that's up to their choice, and that's fine. And I guess I have sort of a breaking in point there because I don't have, I have experience with it. So when I
I
see
can.
like fans
Mhm.
really like, I need critiques, I need help. What did I do wrong? I'm like, just do something else, dude. It's
I
cool.
I can understand where it comes from, and in fact, I think it's a very healthy mindset to be seeking critique. Now, granted, that comes with a condition. It's very healthy mindset to be seeking critique if you're receptive to the resulting critique. It does nobody any good if you're going, please, I want feedback. Tell me what I did wrong. And then literally every time someone tells you something you could have worked on, you go, oh, well, I meant to make it sound like that because this, or oh, well, that doesn't really matter because they wanted it like this or like such. So if you're always playing it off, then it doesn't even, there's no point to asking for critique. But I think it's just they need to know where to direct their request for critique. The name of the game in voiceover is your connection network. You need to make friends with your peers and work with them, connect with them, keep up to date with the stuff that they're in. So, and if you show interest in what they do, of course they're going to show interest in what you do. And so use your peer network to get that critique. Like, be like, hey, here's my performance, guys, of something I was in. what do you guys think of it? What seemed to work for you? What didn't seem to work? Have the people, or even the people who tried out for the same role as you, give you critique on what you did. Because often, especially when you're trying to get into the industry, a major thing of what you're going to be doing is paying for workshops and going to workshops hosted by people who work very frequently in the industry. And they're passing on, obviously there's no clear cut way of how to do things well. But if you take the advice from a lot of people who are doing well, chances are you'll figure out a running trend, a running pattern that you can adapt into your own style, and you'll find your own means of success.
And I think that's very good advice for the would-be voice actors out there that I know are listening. But you did mention a character that we do want to touch upon,
Uh-huh.
specifically due to the fact that everyone is playing the game, and I can
Okay.
fire up my Vita again, so I'm very excited about that because I'm the Sony fangirl on site. I have to always have a Sony device going somewhere.
This game, I think I know which game you're talking about. If I'm right, this game is actually what caused me to go and buy a Vita this past week because
Oh
um,
yay!
I know. I was like, originally I was going to pass on it. And then I trawled the forums and read through what people were saying. I was like, oh, crap. I better get this. But I don't have the system, so I better get the system. And like the game is sold out for both the limited edition and the standard. Well, let me make sure it's the game that I think you're talking about. So go ahead and
Danganronpa,
there you go. That's the one.
the one with
Dang
the
ropes,
crazy, crazy subtitle attached to it too. Trigger
darn
Happy
ropes,
Havoc.
diddly rhombus, dang it, grandpa.
Danganronpa. I've heard like so many different ways to say it in the past week
I
that
think my favorite has to be dragon Roombas.
I
I
like that a
just
lot.
I love how people mess with the name. It's literally my favorite.
I like that so much. So I have to ask, as a Sony fangirl, so do you have your Vita now?
I don't. It's being shipped to me, but I
Dang it.
am I am I do test a lot of games for Vita, so I'm well versed in the system.
Well, my big thing when I started playing the Vita was how pretty the screen is. So I have to ask what your favorite feature or what stands out to you about the
That's
system.
actually precisely why I ordered the Vita now, because I believe Sony is coming out with a new Vita that's like slimmer, lighter, whatever, and they're going to sell it for like a slightly lower price to make it competitive, and they're going to phase out the original version of the Vita with this new one. But the difference is that the new Vita uses just an LED or LCD screen as
Hmm.
opposed to the OLED that the first version uses. And the LED screen is closer to like what you get on your 3DS, where the colors kind of wash together. And I did not want that because from what I've tested, I really like the brightness and the vividness of the colors on the Vita and the color contrast. So as soon as I heard about that, I was like, okay, gotta go buy version one right now before they stop selling those. So that would probably be the defining feature is the brightness of the colors on the screen and the color contrast because it is very stunning. It's very cool.
You, sir, are a good man. I've been in so many Reddit fights lately with the Sony community being like, but the new one has a different screen. Don't get that one. Stop it.
And you
And
know
then I've
what?
been called a traitor. So I'm like,
You know what? I think I've seen some comparison videos, and I guess if it doesn't matter to you that much, you're right. It isn't going to be much of a difference. But having played the Vita and knowing what the difference would be, it is actually pretty comparable. And I would prefer to have the original OLED screen. So,
and it's perfect for this game too because this game is colorful.
oh
It's
my gosh.
very vibrant and wacky and dark and serious. I'm not super far in it yet. I've gotten past the prologue. I'm in the
Uh-huh.
first chapter and
Yeah,
nobody died yet. So
I've heard it's a long game. Like some people are saying it took them 3 hours of text conversations before they even got to the first trial. So, and the
I've
trial
been playing
itself,
for I think about an hour and a half, and I'm not to the first death yet, but I think it's right around the corner because we just got a major reveal about giving them motive, and I won't spoil it
yeah,
for
I
people
literally
who
think
haven't
I
played
think
yet.
the first trial, if you have it autoplay all the lines and voices, is about an hour and 45 minutes long. So that's a good idea of what kind of length you're looking at for the first trial.
I will say though, I really adore these kind of games. Like I love visual novel type of games, like Zero's
Mhm.
Escape and Sweet Fuse and things like that, which
Uh-huh.
recently didn't come out from NIS. They came out from Access Games. Whoopsie.
Oh,
Uh,
oops. Well,
but
if you're looking for a visual novel type game that's coming out from NIS soon, I know Demon Gaze is releasing in April, and I did help with testing for that game. So if you like how good the spelling and grammar is, you can thank me for it. But yeah, that is a visual novel type game, and people who have played Etrian Odyssey before will find a lot of similarities, a lot of parallels between Etrian Odyssey and Demon Gaze.
and that's exactly why I pre-ordered that. So
There you go.
so I'll just have to thank you when I notice that their spelling's really awesome.
You know what? I tested that thing for 5 weeks and I still want to play it when it comes out. So if I'm still finding it fun, then I'm pretty sure anyone who likes that type of game will have a blast with it when they play for it the first time.
Well, now back to the game we were talking
Yeah.
about. We didn't actually even get a chance to really talk about your character too much. Do you want to explain a little bit about him?
Kiyotaka Ishimaru, also known as the ultimate or the super high school level moral compass. Um, Well, I can definitely understand why the casting choice was made because he's very determined. He's very intent. He's very strongly attached to what he feels is right. He's very loud, and I feel like maybe that loudness part might be applicable to me. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me if it is. But he's just very he. The way I describe it to people is Kiyotaka Ishimaru, compared to the rest of the cast, is like a dog in a pack of wolves. Technically, technically, he is one of them. If you look at the DNA and the species lineage, he is one of them. And he tries so hard. But at the end of the day, he's not one of them. He's not. He's just different enough that he's one of a kind. And I think that's why a lot of people love him because he's so loud and boisterous and powerful. And almost to a fault. Like he's very locked in his ideals, and they're admirable ideals, but because he's so locked into them, it kind of makes him stand out from everybody else. So I like him. He was really fun to play.
Well, I will say I like the character myself. I keep imagining me waking up one day and he's just like beside the bed and he's just like, "Hey!" I'm like, "Oh God!" Because
There were actually a couple people on Tumblr like posting things like potential life situations with Ishimaru. And the one I remember reading that really made me laugh is when he's like conversing with Makoto Nagi, and if he's like, "Is this what social interaction is like? Ha ha ha! This is off the chain. Let's party!" Just like just he has no idea what he's actually talking about, but he thinks he does, and that's what makes it hilarious.
he actually just woke my character up. Now that I'm thinking about it, he just woke my character up for breakfast. So,
Oh
maybe,
no.
yeah, it's fine. We all had a not very nice breakfast because everybody's all angry at each other all the time. But
You haven't hit the sauna scene with Mondo yet, have you?
oh dear, no, I have not.
Oh, you're in for fun.
Oh dear.
Nothing like building brotherly bonds by smelling like manlyhood through all of breakfast. I'm not gonna say anything more, but
I think it's better due to the rating on the radio. You might not want to.
I know, right? So
But no, I'm glad that you're seeing a lot of the reaction from Tumblr and the rest of the world on the game because it
it,
seems like it definitely has a cult following.
you know what? I've been telling people at NIS this, and I've been telling people on Twitter this. It has made me insanely happy to see how well Danganronpa is doing. Like, both for the company and as someone who is in the game. As someone who's in the game, it makes me so happy to see that people are enjoying Kiyotaka's performance and the whole cast, in fact, in general, because it's really nice to see that people are looking at my performance positively, and it makes me feel like I've done something successfully, and being able to interact with the fans and laugh at jokes alongside with them is really heartwarming. And on the company side, I can't begin to describe how happy it makes me to see that NIS has I don't even know if it's a sleeper hit at this point, but just how well the game is selling and how much it's exposing NIS to both new and veteran fans alike, and the kinds of possibilities and opportunities it might open up. It excites me. It legit excites me. I'm excited to see what this develops into and how Super Danganronpa 2 is perceived, and just basically what happens in the near future. I'm really enthralled to see how that turns out.
Well, I really hope for me because I'm a fan of, I like to say niche titles because you really don't see visual novels coming over to the West, but lately it
No.
seems like there's been a trend. And so I hope the positive reaction encourages companies like NIS and a few others to just bring more visual novels over.
Yeah, it is definitely there are definitely a lot more coming over. You've got Demon Gaze, as I said. You've got Danganronpa coming out. I'm trying to think of the third one that came to mind. I'm not able to remember anymore, but there's a definite increase in how these are coming over. And part of it is because these games are coming over, they're getting such a good fan response, and then other companies see it and go, "Oh, well, maybe it's okay to take a risk in this genre." So that it just feeds right into what I said before. I'm excited for the success of this game because it'll be nice to see if it leads to other games of that style coming in, more creative, artistically distinct, just sometimes even just out there games. And maybe they'll get a chance now because companies will see this and go, huh, maybe there is a fan base for this after all.
Definitely. I mean, that's how I actually sell the Vita to friends. I'm like, don't get it for Uncharted, get it for like Dokuro or something like that. Get it for something weird and interesting or different or something you haven't played in like years. Like
I,
right now I'm
oh,
playing DJ Max, as well as Danganronpa. And DJ
I,
Max, like, when's the last time you played that in the arcades?
I literally have like 6 or 7 games already set up. I just don't have the system for it. I'm gonna be picking up Dragon's Crown. I'm considering East Memories of Salsetta. I've
Oh,
got
that's a good
Persona
one.
3. I've got Persona 3 and Persona 4 Golden waiting on the Sony store because I bought them during the Atlas sale. I've literally got the limited edition of Danganronpa sitting in my room right now. I'm looking at the box while I'm talking to you, and I can't play it because I don't have the Vita. So I pretty much had to shell out for a 32 gigabyte memory card because the normal one, the one it comes with, would be filled up before I even finished downloading all the games I have waiting for it.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I survived on almost a year with the 8 gigabyte, and I was like, I could just get the 16 gigabyte now, but no, I know me. I have a
I know.
PS3 since launch. I have a PS4. There is no way that I'm not going to fill up that 16 gigabyte and go, why didn't
It
I just get a 32?
I know it sucks because they're Sony, they're market specific, so you have to shell out like $80 for the 32. But it's good for that sense of comfort where you're like, well, at least I know if I filled it up, I got the biggest size I possibly could, and I didn't give myself the headache. It's the convenience. You're paying for the convenience.
Until they come out with that 64 gigabyte.
Don't
Cha-ching!
talk. Shh, move on. Don't talk about that.
Okay, let's move on to Magi.
Okay.
Okay, can you tell us about your character in Magi? Because that I've seen the fan base with that was really surprising to me, just because it seemed like not necessarily that it didn't come from anywhere, but it's nice for different shonen shows to get an audience. You know, we've seen all the One Piece and the Bleach and what have you, and Magi
Mhm.
seems like it's taking some of that audience and growing something
Magi,
new.
from my understanding, is kind of like the 1001 Arabian Nights, the translation. It's got like Aladdin and Sinbad and all of those other characters. But it places a heavy focus on like ruin and dungeon exploring and the use of genies and evil monsters and demons and evil jinns as the opponents. Kasim is like you could say that both Alibaba and Kasim are different versions of Robin Hood. And Alibaba is the Robin Hood that wants to help the poor out of a sense of justice and not so much getting back at rich people, but just wanting to help the poor. Kasim is the version of Robin Hood that hates the rich and wants to help the poor by basically decimating the higher ups because he feels that they've been wronged for a long period of time. He grew up in the slums. He grew up suffering at the hands of the rich. And so he's not really too keen on anybody being ruled by anybody. And again, there's some parallels between him and Kiyotaka. He's very emotionally driven. He's very focused on what he thinks is right. Probably what's new to him is compared to Kiyotaka is that Kasim is very vulnerable to jealousy, both at his social status and in his relationship to Alibaba. Um, but that's kind of what makes him pretty fun to play is that he goes through such a wide range of emotions, and when he gets furious, he gets understandably furious, but it still makes it hard for you to either love or hate him because you're not sure how to feel.
Well, that always makes a character interesting and gives them more depth.
Right. The morally gray villain, so to speak.
And what's nice about Magi is I believe recently they announced it's on Neon Alley as well.
It is, and I don't know if you guys heard about that or heard about this, but did you hear about Neon Alley's transferring to a free system, or like they're going to
Yes,
be doing free streaming?
that's very
That's
exciting. And I can get
that's
it on my Vita.
yeah, there you go. So much for that 32 gigabytes.
Well, no, it's just I think it's funny because I can get Neon Alley on my Vita, but for whatever reason I can't get Crunchyroll.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm. They
Yeah.
announced it 2 years ago.
I don't
Hmm.
know.
But no,
I don't
I
know, Takato.
but I've seen a lot of fans, talking about that, and it definitely seems like people, are getting excited being able to watch it on that platform.
Hmm. I think, yeah. I'd say we're in the middle of a growth spurt. I think there's a lot of things happening right now that are expanding the anime and the game industry for the better. And I am excited about that because it seems like I don't know. I mean, you can pretty much just close it at that. It just seems like we're getting a lot more opportunity. Companies are willing to take a lot more risks now that the medium is becoming more mainstream, if it wasn't already. And it'll be cool to see what happens.
Definitely. I'm curious for the fans out there, are there any projects that you want them to know about that we haven't touched upon or anything you can talk about? We don't want the NDA ninjas coming after you, obviously.
Well, things are slowing down for me for a little while after now that Magi and Danganronpa are both out. There is something I'm going to be recording for in the coming months, but because like I haven't even started recording for it, it goes to say that I can't talk about what the project is. Um, I would say in terms of projects that I'm not in that I think people should pick up, I'm sure Bravely Default is on a lot of everyone's minds right now. And for what I've seen and what I've played of the demo, it is actually very solid. And a lot of my peers are voicing in it as well. In fact, the last time I went into work, out of the 8 people at work that I street passed with, literally all 8 of them had Bravely Default as their most recently played game. So something tells me I'm gonna be playing that this weekend while I'm at TexanCon.
Yeah, Chris, my producer, is constantly like sending me clips, and I'm like, oh, there's KG, and there's
Yeah,
so and so, and there's so and
and, there,
so. Like,
and there's Kira Buckland. There's also on the indie side, there's a game that I and several people that I know, like Kimlin Tran, who some of you may have remembered as Fidget from Dust and Elysian Tale, called Stick It to the Man, that was just announced as being ported to the Wii U as well. So hey, finally have a reason to turn on the Wii U. Hurrah! At least until Smash Brothers comes out. Um, and I believe, yeah, Little Mac was confirmed as a character this morning. So if you didn't have a reason to buy it yet, now you definitely do. But yeah, Stick It to the Man for Wii U, unnamed project I can't talk about in April, and Bravely Default now. So you got something to keep you busy for the next couple of months.
very exciting. And for the listeners who want to keep up to date on any projects that come down the line, where can they stalk you on the internet in a nice way?
Stalking me on the internet. Probably the best way to stalk me is on Twitter. My handle is Sonic Mega, Sonicmega. Just think Sonic and Mega Man crammed together like my 13-year-old persona did when I created the username for the IGN forums. Yeah, that's definitely the easiest way, and that's probably the easiest way to like actually contact me if you want to chat to me about stuff. I'm very receptive to fans asking questions and wanting to know thoughts. I actually spent the last couple of days basically doing a couple requests as Kiyotaka Ishimaru for people on Tumblr through Twitter and answering questions about the VO industry. And it was just really fun to talk to people. So you can follow me on there. Obviously, you can follow me on Facebook at Sean Chiplock. I don't tend to use it as much, but I do post major announcements there. Those are probably the 2 major places that you can find me. Those are where I'm most active nowadays.
Well, I have to say I hadn't really explored your Twitter extensively, but I see now on your photos and videos that you might have had that infamous scene that you were talking about earlier on
Uh,
there.
which famous scene are we talking about? Oh, the
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 hot spring
the
scene
hot
or
springs. Yeah, yeah.
the
I did
bathing
respond to
scene.
someone. I was like, "It's sauna time." So if you
I
if you
love
click
how he
that,
has the towel on his head though.
I also have another link on there you guys should probably check out. It's anyone who's familiar with the ASDF random movie series, the Everybody Do the Foie, the just that brief skit. Someone did that with Kiyotaka Ishimaru, and the result is only 4 seconds long, but it's hilarious. Do not click it if you don't want Danganronpa spoilers, but it's hilarious.
Okay, so I'll stay away from it until I finish the game. I'm gonna finish
Yeah,
the game today. Don't worry.
yeah, yeah.
That's my goal for today.
Right.
But
Well,
no.
the scene it references happens, it's not too far into the game, so you'll probably run into it, before the weekend. But yeah, I would not click that link until you've experienced all of Kiyotaka. That should probably be rephrased.
Perfect. So for the
Right.
fans out there that want to find you in real life, though, you said you have a convention coming up. Could you list
I
the
do.
conventions you're going
I
to?
always, always, always attend Anime Expo, and now that I'm actually living in California, it's pretty much a given. So, if you're coming to Anime Expo this July, you'll be able to see me there, and you should come check out my last comic standing routine, because I'm generally very well received for my performances there. And this year's routine, what I've got so far, is really good. Like, I feel a lot of good things about it.
Awesome. Well, hopefully we'll see you there. I know that we always have somebody who, stalks the Hall of Anime Expo, but there's so many people.
I know, right? I'm considering whether or not I want to cosplay, but I don't even know where to begin with that sort of thing. So I don't know. I just call Anime Expo Street Pass the movie because, like, every 5 minutes you've got to check your 3DS and take care of your street passes. And now that you've got games like Bravely Default and Pokemon X and Y and Animal Crossing, and any of you who got the Me Plaza games like Haunted Manor and Me Force, you're probably going to be spending more time on your 3DS than you're going to be spending like on actual convention stuff.
It's actually funny that you mentioned that. The last convention I went to, which was, well, not the last one, but last year, the last convention I went to, which was Youmacon, at the very end during closing ceremonies, their MC, or their host of ceremonies, essentially was street passing all weekend, and he got to like 995 or something. And when he
Right?
got to 1,000, or whatever it was, whoever was the 1,000 would win a free pass to Youmacon. And I really love that they did that.
That's actually really cool. But yeah, like seriously, it takes I almost hate it because it takes all the fun out of stuff. Like I remember when I was at Anime Los Angeles, and around that time Nintendo released the Chibi Robo panel, and so there's 40 new pieces for you to pick up. It had just come out. By the end of that weekend, I'd already finished it. So it's like, oh, yay, back to having nothing to do.
Well, that's what conventions are for, partly.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm gonna have plenty to do now between the Vita and all the games I've got for it. And those of you who tuned into the Nintendo Direct earlier in the week just learned that Pokemon Battle Troze is coming out for the 3DS, and you've got Kirby's Triple Deluxe and a lot of other really good games. I don't know which system I'm going to be spending more time on. It's like I'm going to be testing at work, and then if I'm not recording at home, I'll be playing games then too.
Well, if you need Dragon's Crown's buddies, both Chris and I play,
I
so.
do. You know what? You know what? That's actually the major deciding factor on whether or not I pick up Dragon's Crown is I don't know how much of the online community is still playing it. So if there's people out there who are playing Dragon's Crown and want someone to dungeon run with them, add me, contact me, and ask for my username because I am banking on Dragon's Crown being a multiplayer experience.
Wonderful. Well, we'll definitely have to talk about that after the interview. But since we're nearing the end of the interview, I was wondering if you'd be willing to participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition.
Oh no, what's the tradition?
We basically ask if you'd be willing to do a radio bump for us. The trick of it, however, is that everyone gets to hear your mess ups.
Oh yes. Wait, do I get to make up my own or do I have to repeat what you say?
We have a section where you can make up your own. Essentially, what we ask you to say is you follow it loosely is
Okay.
hello, hi, howdy, whatever you want to say. My name is, you insert your name. I do this. You can put whatever you want to put there, certain
Okay.
characters, whatever. And you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
How about this? I'll do one just your guys' exact script as myself, but I get to do a made up one as Kiyotaka Ishimaru.
We would love it if you would like to
Okay,
do that.
that is perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead with the normal one first.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Okay, what's the script again?
Basically, it's hi, my name is, you insert your name. I do
Okay,
this. You can say you're a voice actor, you can say certain characters you've done, and you're tuned into 91.8, The
Kiss
Fan.
FM. Kiss FM, right? No,
No.
okay. Hi, I'm Sean Chiplock. I'm a professional voiceover artist, and you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan.
See, you don't even have to do that over.
I know, right? See, that's what
Yeah, there you
happens when you
go.
spend all your time in a studio. Hi, I'm insert your name here. Just do the sandlot or whatever they do in that movie. I
But
gotta
if
think of
you
what I want.
If
Go
you do
ahead.
want to do a character specific one, you are free to think of whatever wacky things you want to do.
Okay, I'm gonna turn down my mic sensitivity for this one because I'm gonna get loud. But all right, you ready for the ones Kiyotaka Ishimaru?
Yes.
Okay. Greetings, fellow friends! I am Kiyotaka Ishimaru, the ultimate high school level moral compass. And it doesn't take a bunch of clues for me to know that the best radio station to listen to is 91.8 The Fan.
That was amazing. Thank you.
No problem.
I'm gonna play that one a lot. I like that one. So is there anything else you'd like to tell the listeners out there? Any words of wisdom, dating advice, forecast for the end of the world?
You know what? Basically, this applies whether or not you're trying to become a voiceover artist. Don't forget to have fun. Like I know that like in this economy, it can be really hard to want to spend money on anything or want to treat yourself to something. But remember that like we're here for a reason, whatever that reason turns out to be. I don't want to get too philosophical, but find out what my mother told me when she was still around was find something you like to do and make it your career because then it'll never feel like work. And I'm pretty sure she stole that from someone who's much more intelligent than I am. But the point remains that it's still really true. You gotta figure out what your passion is in life and then pursue that. It's gonna require effort. It's gonna require like stress and headaches and a lot of time put into mastering whatever profession you choose. But if you do that, you're going to end up with a life that you love living. You know, I still have a long way to go in the voiceover industry, a lot of expansions to my network to make. But right now, I'm 23 years old. I test video games and I play games that a lot of people find really fun for a paycheck. And then I come home and I record for projects or I record auditions and I play video games in my off time. Not a lot of people my age can say that they do that. And not only am I immensely grateful, but I'm aware that it's because of the time that I put into it. So even if it seems a long ways away, put in the work and you'll be surprised at what doors open up for you.
And I think that's wonderful advice. And I have to say thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for hosting me.
And for anybody out there that missed any of this interview, shame on you, but don't fret, it'll be up on the website within the next few days. So keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan, everything you want and nothing you don't.